Theme songs. They are basically just songs that are played at the beginning of a movie or a TV show to get the audience to understand and possibly be excited to what show they're watching. I didn't feel like I needed to explain what it is because I'm fairly certain everyone that isn't stuck in the past knows what an intro is, but shut up. Some theme songs are very good and are considered to be classics, usually associated with a critically acclaimed show or movie, whilst others are not that good, to say the least.
That is absolute dog shit.
With that said, BFDI has quite a number of intros, one for each of its 5 seasons, and I'm here to rank each and every single one of them because that's what I do. Actually no, that's not what I do. There is going to be one rule though. I'll only include the main theme for each season, so you won't be seeing any variations. Oh well, they're almost identical anyway. Anyways, here are the intros, here's how I'm going to judge them, and here's the overall mark out of 30. Enough rambling, let's get to the bottom of the list, shall we? I know this is nostalgic to several people, and I'm certain that at least one of these people are watching this video right now. But something had to get last place, and BFDI's intro, compared to the others, isn't that amazing. Let's start with the visuals. It's pretty simple with it just showing the full cast, then the camera moves to the actual island, with the show's title appearing word by word. There's not really much to write home about it, but then again, it's not terrible. I just think it's a bit boring, to be honest. But for what it's worth, they were like, what, 12? Of course it's not going to be stellar, so it'll be too harsh on the visuals. As for the music, it has the iconic guitar riff you'll hear in all but one of the following songs, and it blends with the visuals quite nicely, being just simple and nothing to write home about. Overall, it's a generic run-of-the-mill intro that despite serving its purpose well, there's not really much to it. I'm giving it a 7.5 for its visuals and an 8 for the music, giving it a 50.5 out of 30, which isn't even that terrible really. It really shows there's yet to be an intro which crosses the level of bad, which is always nice to hear. Fun fact, I actually thought of pairing it with the last intro considering how similar it is in its theme and music. But after some thinking, this one's subjectively better. For one, the camera movement is a lot more natural and interesting than BFDI's. Also, I don't know if it's just me, it probably is to be honest, but the colours look somewhat more appealing than BFDI's. Something about it looks a lot more diverse and less flat. And as for the music, it's necessarily the same thing but almost as if it was just sped up, which might be a bit lazy. It still makes it a smidge nicer and catchier to listen to. Probably its biggest flaw stems from the fact that it's too similar. It's almost identical both visually and musically. But with that said, it's an improvement over the last theme, and I'm going to give both the visuals and the music a 9, giving a total of 18 out of 30. There's not really left to say here, so I'll just segue into the next intro if I can. Now this is where we're getting to the really good stuff. The last two were simply fine, but these last 3 are great. Let's start off by how I like how the intro starts with the character just simply lifts their arm and it just cuts to it. It just mixes together very well. The concept decides to take a different turn, as rather than just showing the contestants and then the island, it puts them in a line and have their camera rapidly move from one to another. I also like how it doesn't show all the contestants until after the camera zooms out on marker, and I also like how all the characters are color coded just to make things more organized, you know. Now as for the music, it sounds very good and it fits with it very well, but I kind of prefer the upcoming to music a lot more if anything. So with all that said and done, I'm giving the visuals a score of 12 and the music a 10, giving BFB a total of 22 out of 30 and a bonus medal for the intros. Are you surprised this isn't number 1? Well, even though I'm not, obviously, it's still an awesome intro. But what can I add to it is the trouble. Its visuals are superb. All the characters actually move for once, unlike other times where they're just one or two stills, which is a very good addition. Each of them are put into a random scenario. It's always fun to see them. As for the actual animation, it's amazing. This intro, being animated by a random person named Corebones, was clearly taking some form of inspiration by anime unlike previous seasons, and man does it blend well with the general BFDI style. Combining it with this rich colour scheme and you got yourself the perfect visuals. For the music, also made by Corebones, it's so hard to not get it to drill itself a permanent home in your brain. It's so happy and so upbeat, and like I said 1,000,000,001 times before, it fits perfectly with its visual partner. Now I got that wrapped up, the visuals undeniably gets a full 15 and the music gets a 12, giving it a deserved 27 out of 30. So with the other 4 intros, they all have their own personality if you couldn't tell yet. But if there's one thing they all have in common, is that none of them makes me as happy as IDFB's. Yes, my favourite intro in the entire show's run is that of IDFB. Now I can see your puzzled looking faces about to ask me, IDFB? I mean, it's a good intro, but it's nowhere near as good as BFB's, and especially TPOT. Why is it number 1? And my response to that is, let me tell you. Let's commence with our good old friend, the visuals. It's the first intro to flip-flop with the general concept, despite not being as noticeable as 2 successors. Before having the general shot of the cast, it starts with all of them falling down the screen, with the names being shown one by one before having the shot of the cast. Furthermore, its ending is just gorgeous to look at. From the darker looking atmosphere to the water reflecting, it's just a treat to the eyes. But the intro wouldn't be half as valuable if it wasn't for the music. It starts off with a nice relaxing 8-bit music with some whistling at one point, followed by the general guitar riff, only except it's actually edited enough to sound largely different. But what I enjoy most about it is how well it fits with the atmosphere of IDFB. IDFB is a season where the cast doesn't have to worry about the prizes or the eliminations and whatnot, and instead they just live life normally. It's laid back and relaxing, so it's pretty obvious that they needed a laid back and relaxing intro, and it delivers perfectly on that front. I'm going to take liberties and give it a 14 on its visuals and a solid 15 on its music, summing it to a 29 out of 30. And by 2 marks between second place, I can comfortably say that this is by far my favourite intro of the entire show. And with nothing else left to say, I'll see you another time. Goodbye.